What's up, folks? Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, and we're back again with some more PGA DFS picks and lineup advice, both FanDuel and DraftKings, this time for the RBC Heritage down in Hilton Head this week. Starts Thursday morning, and we're going to use our daily plug, OccupyFantasy.com, our Occupy model, OccupyFantasy.com, to help give you some high-level strategies and tips and picks and advice for this slate and this event that starts this week. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. That way you get access to all of our latest DFS videos. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. We'd appreciate that. And if you have any questions about DFS in general, PGA DFS, or this particular slate, go ahead and comment below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So we've been doing these videos once a week now with PGA returning, ideally around 10 minutes long. Pretty much every single time I've gone over that mark. We'll see if we can keep it to that number today. But go over some high-level stuff. Key points from the daily plug, standouts from the Occupy model. For those who don't know, the daily plug is just our weekly write-up on OccupyFantasy.com. All of our content is fully free until a major North American team sport returns. So again, this plug and the model for PGA this week are both free. And we're blessed this time because, once again, Niro Mata, a top PGA DFS player, has graced us and offered to write the plug. Once again, he gives an insight into his top plays of the week and some overall lineup strategies depending on what type of contest you're playing, what type of player that you are. And again, OccupyFantasy.com is where you can get that. One more thing really quickly before we jump into it. Be sure to check out our live stream tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/OccupyFantasy. That link is in the description below. And Twitch subscribers do get access to our Discord. And Niro Mata is actually in there answering questions, posting updates throughout the night and into the morning for this PGA slate. So as you see here, let's scroll down. We'll come back to this section here in a second, but let's talk about this course. If you read about this course, if you read any DFS overviews about this slate, you'll know that as Niro Mata points out here, as he puts it, it's one of the tightest and most claustrophobic courses that these guys play on the tour. And I'm sure if you've read about this or you've watched any videos, you'll hear about how tight the fairways are, and you have to be really accurate with your driver and really accurate with all your shots here. And as Niro points out, our preferred player profile, let's point it here, accurate with tee shots, great around the greens, likes to play strategic golf, and plays their best on coastal venues, which is what this is. Google, if you're not familiar, Google image this Harbortown golf links. You'll see what he means by coastal venues. And so with this in mind, the key stats that our model takes into account this week, that Niro Mata is taken into account for his personal player pool: greens in regulation, fairways gained, as always, accuracy off the tee, approach, sand saves. This ends up being a pretty important metric for those who finish in the top 10, 20, top 5 of this tournament. Scrambling, trying to get back on the green, make a par putt. And then, of course, as always, putting variance, which is a regression tool that we use to find out which golfers are due for regression one way or the other based on their recent performance. And Niro Mata posted this Tuesday afternoon. This always gets posted Tuesday afternoon. But he also comes in Wednesday afternoon and puts in an update based on what the betting markets are doing at some of the sharpest sportsbooks in the world for golf betting. And as we see here, we look at Pinnacle Sports, one of the sharpest offshore sports books, one of the purely sharpest sports books there is, offshore or not. And he's looked at some of the biggest line moves so far this week, and these are pretty indicative of player success. Always plays a part. And Hideki, Webb Simpson, John Rahm, Bryson, Colin, Sung Jae, Dustin Johnson, all have seen significant moves in their odds to win in their favor over the course of these last couple of days. And last week, Jordan Spieth was on this list. We know where he finished. Victor Hovland with a top 30 finish. He was the number one biggest line mover last week. And a couple other guys that finished high up in the tournament as well. So these line moves, we should take more than a grain of salt with these. So Hideki, he ranks pretty highly in the model. Webb Simpson, this is a nice transition here into projected ownership, because Webb Simpson last week, one of the highest projected owned golfers, ended up being the highest owned golfer. Missed the cut, cool. But as we know now, DFS players are sharper than ever. They don't care about recency bias. And if we go over to our Occupy model and we sort by DraftKings projected ownership, we see Webb Simpson once again. No surprise, we see Sungjae Im as well, who's also seen a big move in the betting markets. So, regardless of last week, people are still going to play Webb Simpson this week, and we see that with a 20% number projected ownership on DraftKings. Other players that stick out, you'll see a couple guys here that were in that pinnacle line move department: Bryson, Morikawa, Sungjae. And then you'll see some other guys here that are pretty popular, especially if you read any articles or watch any videos around the industry. Ian Poulter is one. Kevin Kisner is another. So no surprise to see who's at the top of the ownership list this week. Okay, let's go back to the daily plug and let's talk about lineup strategy. This is something we do every single week. We've back tested the most profitable lineup constructions in all contest types. And let's scroll all the way down. I'm not going to give you all the goods. You have to go to occupyfantasy.com to read those. But for low risk and high risk contests, again, low risk is 50-50s, double ups, head to heads. Half the field gets paid an even amount. High risk, exponential payouts, large field contests, only top 20% or less get paid. Now, in low risk contests, what you can easily do is look at high projected owned players. As a community, we have all week to figure out the best plays. That's going to be reflected in projected ownership. And then we take a look at the Occupy model and look at cut percentage. This is the percentage of cuts that this golfer has made over the last calendar year. Colin Morikawa continues his incredible run of not missing a cut as a professional player. 100%, 22 for 22. So nice little floor and upside there. So yeah, you combine projected ownership, cut percentage, and then lastly, Occupy model, OF index ranking. Now this is built for tournaments, but if you see the high ownership, means everyone thinks he's a good play. You see the cut percentage historically, he has a high floor and will make the cut. And then he has upside based on our OF index. That's the trifecta of goodness for low risk contests. Now, you want to maximize that. Get as many of those players into your lineup as you can for your low risk contests. High risk contests, again, we talked about this last week. We talked about it in our previous videos. The ideal construction, if you know nothing about PGA DFS, is the most important thing. You want 2 players in high risk contests. Now, these are for large field contests. More than 1,000 players. Thinking 3 max GPPs, 150 max GPPs, your bigger satellites. You want 2 players with at least 15% ownership or more, because you want some good players. These guys are good plays. You want 2 players with less than 5% ownership, because you want to get unique. You want to have a different lineup, and you want to find guys that are under the radar. And then you want 2 players in between, so between 5 and 15%. This is for both FanDuel and DraftKings. And this lineup construction will, 1, mean you're not duplicated by any other users in your contest. 2, it means you'll have the right mix of ownership and upside and risk to take down a tournament. So again, if you take away one thing from this video, we're going to say this every week, is this lineup construction for your high risk contests. All right, 2 more things quickly to talk about. Let's scroll to the top of the daily plug here. Matthew Neesmith is our cover boy, probably the only cover boy photo of Matthew Neesmith this week anywhere. But again, he ranks high in the model this week, and as Niramata points out, the ultimate narrative. This is his home course. Let's scroll down here, and let's go to his Matthew Neesmith write-up. So he lives a few hours from this course, Harbortown. He went to college at South Carolina, and he loved this course so much that he actually proposed to his girlfriend, now fiance, on the 18th hole of this course. Pretty good, huh? He knows this course pretty well, and he's one of the cheapest on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Combine that narrative with the Occupy model's high OF index ranking, we have a great, let's actually look here, and I think Matthew Neesmith, here he is. Yeah, projected 5% ownership on FanDuel, 4% on DraftKings. Could be a low owned piece to your high risk lineup builds. Last thing we need to talk about is Jim Furyk, because as always, if you've been around before, with Occupy and the PGA model, it has an undying love for Jim Furyk. Actually, every couple seasons, different sports will find one player who just defies the model's logic and will appear at the top or at the bottom no matter what. Jim Furyk's that guy. We think we figured it out, but regardless of the fact, Jim Furyk should be one of the highest rated golfers this week at his price point. Based on his skill set, familiarity with the course. Read his interview from yesterday in the media day, and he talks about this being his favorite course to play. His skills fit the best at this course. He thinks he has the best shot to win at this particular venue. So While the model may love Jim Furyk a ton, and on some weeks it may be unsubstantiated, this week it is substantiated, and you'll want to get him into your lineups. All right, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate you all listening. For more information and more picks and more lineup advice, go to occupyfantasy.com. Check out our daily plug. It's under the PGA menu at the top. Check out the Occupy model. Ranks every single player, FanDuel and DraftKings. You see it on screen here. And once again, if you do like what we did here and you want more videos from us, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. We're almost at the 1K mark. Maybe we'll do a giveaway once we get the 1K. So go ahead and hit that subscribe. Help get us over that 1K hump. We'd appreciate that. Any questions you have, hit us up on Twitter at OccupyFantasy or comment on this video below. All right, that'll do it. Appreciate it. Good luck once again this week. We're excited that golf is back. Let's hope one of us take down a big tournament.